Wow, it's not quite the same as doing this in the bathroom mirror, is it?
Turn the lights on.
Yeah, that's right. Doing the speech practicing. I'd like to welcome you all again. Mike's done an excellent job on that. And the comments that were made earlier about sharing are interesting. I shared some of the words I was going to say right now with Mike earlier today, and the bastard went and spoke most of them earlier. But what I was... I'm going to elaborate. I'm going to add value in a true open source way. As Mike said, when we were thinking about these awards, what we wanted to find as judges were people that were not just kind of open source software experts, but people that were recognized as thought leaders, people who could see a much wider context of what makes New Zealand a great place to live in, and what can make New Zealand an even better place to live in. So we drew up this list of people we thought, in the best circumstances would make our judging panel, and then we tentatively went off and asked them all, and to a person they said, yeah, sure, fine. And so the judging panel we got includes fortunately people that have all managed to make it here, whether they've come from Auckland, north of Auckland. We've got Matt Torkington from Warkworth, all the way from Warkworth. We've got Peter Harrison from Auckland. We've got Russell Brown from Auckland. Rod Drury's, rushed back from the UK just to be here tonight. Thanks, Rod. And from the West Island, we've got Pia War representing our cousins over the ditch there. So, to the judges, thank you very much. We're delighted. I think what we weren't expecting and that we were totally stunned by was the quality and quantity of nominations to these awards. We've got over 130 entries on that website, and we had to go through them all. Just even arriving at the finalists list was incredibly difficult. Halfway through the process, we realized that we need another category for creativity. So congratulations to all the people that put in, the creativity type projects, people like Upstage and the film group. Sorry, I've just totally slipped my mind who you are. And And we also decided that there were really a couple of standout people and projects that we would like to recognise separately. So we also created 2 special awards at the end that'll be given out at the end of this evening. Picking winners has been close to impossible. The judges are having a breakfast tomorrow, and we'll be continuing our debate over coffee. But it had to be done. But I'd just like to say to everyone that's in this room and all the finalists, congratulations. The bottom line is you are worthy. Thank you. And now, the first category, which is the award, the finalists for the Open Source Ambassador category. We've got 3 finalists. The first is somebody sitting at my table, Lynn Pope, who's here with Nick as well. And Lynn's been involved in a lot of open source projects in quite a leadership role. I was going to say recently, but she's widely known for setting up a site using the Mambo content management system after Hurricane Katrina, which allowed families that had been split up during that disaster to get in touch with each other. There was no coordinated effort going on. I've just been talking to Nick about it, and he was telling me how there was a pastor in that big stadium in New Orleans who put out a call for help. He was actually, strangely enough, a Mambo user, and these guys here in New Zealand responded to that call, put together a site that drew together sources of data from all over the place, and put thousands of families that had been spread right across America, from New Orleans right up to Alaska, back in touch with each other. So Lynn's been involved in the Mambo project for a long time. She also runs, created and maintains a site called OS Projects that collects information about open source systems. And I think, you know, what's clear from Lynn's nomination is that she's had a real direct and positive impact on the lives of many people around the world. So, round of applause to Lynn. The second group of finalists are the Waikato Linux user group, the Waikato LUG. Also, I seem to have a few of those at my table as well. Thanks, by the way, guys, for coming down again, you know, from Hamilton and Palmerston North. The Waikato Linux group, I suppose, represents LUGs around the world. They were the original groups that talked about open source software, that supported people that wanted to use open source software, that advocated, and the New Zealand Open Source Society itself came out of a proposal from people within LUGs thinking, well, maybe we need to just raise the advocacy game a little bit and put something together there. In New Zealand, the Waikato Linux group is, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the premier group. A lot of the projects we'll talk about tonight involve people in that group. They're the most active in the country, I'd say. The work they do on Software Freedom Day and introducing open source software to hundreds of people in Hamilton has been very successful. And they've introduced to hundreds and thousands of people, I suppose, the open source ethos, and as I say, you know, great advocates for that as well. So, a round of applause, please, for the Waikato LUG. I forgot my cowbell. The final finalist in this award is Peter Harrison. Peter, again, a Linux user group member, set up the New Zealand Open Source Society 5 years ago. On a wing and a prayer, really, I'd say, Peter. And he's kept it going through thick and a lot of thin whilst trying to run his own business. He's formed relationships with people in government, with people in the media. He's a person that people in the mainstream media have gone to when there's a story about open source that they're looking for more information from. And I'd say, you know, a lot of the reason we're all here tonight talking about open source software is due in no small part to a lot of the work that Peter's done. More recently, he's taken on some pretty big, large organizations in terms of looking at some very broad patents and getting those overturned and submitted on the copyright deal. The other thing that Peter shows in spades is diplomacy and patience. There's a lot of talk about open source advocates people being, you know, like crazy cats are going off all over the place. We just had a long argument about the differences between the benefits between the GPL and the BSD on our table, which is quite passionate, but Peter just negotiates those in a very even-handed way and just keeps people together moving in the same direction. So, round of applause for Peter. And the winner is Steve Palmer. No. Peter Harrison.